Welcome back to the Great Googly Moogly podcast. We appreciate you if you're watching it on YouTube, if you're listening on Apple and podcast and or Spotify. Welcome back to episode 5 of the Great Googly Moogly podcast. Four
or five.
Anyway, we're rocking with it. Today we got some NHL on the schedule. We got some NFL free agency because the off season's never short of surprises here. And then we got some more college football, video game excitement announcements. I think we're all ready for it. It's been over 10 years, but we'll get to it. We'll get to it towards the end. So first and foremost, NHL. We're getting towards the end of the season where the Stanley Cup is coming up and the playoffs is happening. NHL playoff picture. What do you guys think? Who do you think is going to be in it? Do we have Stanley Cup predictions? Because personally, I'm going St. Louis. It's where I'm at, where I'm from. But I think we all have seen the St. Louis Blues play, and we know that's not going to even happen. 2019 was a fluke. We'll still take it.
All
right. What do we think?
Oh God, I think. Where are the Oilers currently sitting at? I want to see the Oilers make a run. I want McDavid to get a ring.
I'm going to be honest, bro. As much as I want McDavid to get a ring, he doesn't win one in Edmonton. I don't think he does.
I know.
Because the Oilers aren't where they need to be, or
it's because they spend so much money on
two players,
Draisaitl and McDavid, that they have no defense and absolutely no goal.
Buddy, I think I could be thrown in the goal, and I think I could save more.
-81 million in cap.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the Oilers signed McDavid and Draisaitl and became like Captain America and Tony Stark, and then they got fucking random Greg back in the goal behind them, bro. It's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they grab a fan out of the
stars,
stands,
but they don't have the defense because defense wins championships. At the end of the day, we see that where San Francisco didn't do it. We saw it; they lost. So defense wins championships no matter what sport it is. So if it's not the Oilers, who's it going to be?
Who you got, Evan?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, the Canucks have been insane. Obviously, they just lost today, 10-7, which was crazy.
Brutal.
But dude, I mean, I don't know, bro. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I mean, there are so many good teams if you look at the standings. You got the Bruins at 77, Panthers at 76, Rangers at 75, Stars at 76, Avs at 72, Canucks at 80. I mean, dude, I don't know. But I like we saw in 2019, come playoff time, don't really matter where you're sitting. That's part of the reason why I love the Stanley Cup playoffs so much. It's just kind of playoff hockey is just a different time, bro. But I don't know. I mean, we talked about it. I would love for Connor McDavid to get one. I don't think he wins one in Edmonton. I don't want to see anybody else in the Central. I want the Blues to do good, but I don't know, man. I want to see the Panthers go back. I think they had a good team last year. Obviously, got kind of shafted in the championship, but I don't know, bro. I don't know if there's just one team that right now I'm like, yeah, there's no way anybody's stopping them.
For me, when I look at like a Stanley Cup contender, it's very rare that you find a team that doesn't have elite goaltending. You have the only two exceptions that I would say is the most recent two Stanley Cup champions, which was the Vegas Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche. Both of them had good goaltending. They weren't elite, but what they had was elite defense.
Definitely.
Avalanche had Bowen Byram, Cale Makar. They had all these pieces on defense. Samuel Girard. On Vegas, you had Alex Pietrangelo, former Blue. They had Alec Martinez. They had very good defense. So when I'm looking at teams, I look at like defense or goaltending, whether if they have something elite, and a team that pops off to me that they're not having the best regular season, but they always seem to, when playoff time hits, just come out of nowhere. Tampa. You have Vasilevsky, elite goaltending. They have elite defense with Sergachev and Hedman, and they have the scoring strike with Kucherov, Point, Stamkos. So if I had to pick one out of the East, it's like a dark horse, quote unquote, I would say the Lightning. But if I had to pick one out of the West, probably I want to say Vancouver, but I really don't. Like, I think that they're going to fall apart. Like, they've had very good health, and that it's eventually going to fall apart for them. And like Evan said, playoff hockey is a totally different
Animal.
sport.
Different beast.
It's way different, and there's it's a lot more physical, so you'll see a lot more injuries. So it's whatever team's going to be most durable and who's got elite defense. I think it's Tampa.
Yeah, well, and I think that brings to my next question. I mean, I know Evan had just listed off there are a lot of teams very close, and obviously, keeping that momentum going into the playoffs is definitely huge. Whether you get home advantage, and I know it's a little bit different than it is for the NFL, but when it comes to like sleeper picks, do you think somebody's going to kind of slide in there and somewhat make a Cinderella story, or
Well, I will
one
note
of those
it
top
has
dogs is going to take it?
the 2012 and 2013 Chicago Blackhawks were the last team to win the Stanley Cup and win the President's Trophy. So we haven't had the best team in hockey in the regular season win in 12, almost 13 years. So use that information as you will.
Yeah. I mean, other than Tampa is like my sleeper. I know you kind of jokingly said something about it, Connor, but if St. Louis makes it, why not? They got a goaltender that he plays well in the
Stands on his
playoffs.
head.
I mean, as long as you can get some good depth of scoring and they play a little more physical in playoff hockey, who says no?
We saw what happened
Definitely.
the last time they sucked in January.
Yeah, fired a coach, got some depth of scoring, went on a run, got to the playoffs, barely made it in, wild card.
Yeah, the St. Louis Blues are in the wild card spot right now. So as of right now, their playoff hopes are alive. But they're gonna need. They've been fine under Drew Bannister. I don't know their exact record, but a lot better than they were under Greg Berube. But they're gonna need to lock in. I think I saw something the last couple of days. They are playing horrible against central opponents this year, which obviously does not help the playoff race at all.
For sure. Well, when it comes to definitely a biased St. Louis fan, Chris, you got any sleeper picks?
There's two that I'm thinking of. For one, I want to see Toronto make it out of the first round.
I think the world wants to
Austin
see Toronto make
Matthews
it out of the first
putting
round.
a goal a game.
See Toronto make it out of the first round.
It's kind of like everybody in the Chiefs this year. Nobody wanted to make them past it, but they might be that team. So
There are only three things guaranteed in life: death, taxes, and the Toronto Maple Leafs choking in the playoffs.
Selling hard.
Number two is I want to hear that skull chant all throughout the NHL playoffs with the Carolina Hurricanes. I could see a run if they just are firing on all cylinders. I think they have good potential.
I think there's a lot of good teams, but I mean, bro, we even saw it last year. Did Boston won the President's Trophy last year? Didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, and then they utterly blew against the Panthers, blowing a. I mean, there's just so many good teams in hockey, bro. But like I said, playoff hockey is a different animal, and that's why I think the NHL playoffs are one of the best times of the year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely up there with the best playoffs. Kind of
hardest trophy to win in sport.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh, yeah. So when it comes to, I know a bunch of you guys had said finding the right defense, finding the right, goalies, making sure everybody's firing on all cylinders. A month out of the NHL trade deadline, I mean, are there teams that need to make like moves right now to make sure that they can make it in the playoffs, or are they just kind of going with the, hey, we did well, let's just regroup, take a whole off season and see what we can do next year? I mean, are there any teams stepping out at you that, are like, hey, if we make this decision now and change it, like we're playoff contention with the best of it?
I would say maybe New Jersey. I think New Jersey's 4 points out of the wild card, and I mean they have a good nucleus with Dougie Hamilton and Jack Hughes, Luke Hughes. They got a good core with Nico Hischier as well. But I think if they could add anything, I want to say that they would probably need goaltending. I mean, I don't know exact stats on their goaltending right now, but I know for a point in time, Vitek Vanacek was not doing it for them. I think he's starting to kind of make a comeback, but I think that's kind of the story of the trade deadline is a lot of goaltending. A lot of teams need goaltending. Edmonton needs goaltending. Toronto needs goaltending. There's so many teams that just need goalies that they're going to be a hot commodity.
Yeah, Vanacek currently is 17-9-3 with a 3.18 goals against average.
What's the save percentage?
0.89.
Yeah, so they kind of need a goaltender.
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, that may be a defensive problem too, but
could be.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, talking about any team sport, there is always that aspect of you can look at one player, but you also have to look at the team.
Yeah.
If you got a lot of guys shooting, from 10 feet, 20 feet away from the net, it's kind of like, a goalie can do that, but I'd also blame a lot of that on the defense of not, being one-on-one or making sure they don't get those easy shots. So, another team, there's got to be some out there across the entire spectrum that, one team is just out of the wild card and they can make a run for it. I mean, like you said, St. Louis Blues 2019, they pushed their way into the wild card and, we saw a wild card team make it happen.
Speaking of the Blues, 6-4-0 in their last 10. Are you buyers or are you sellers at the deadline? This is their retool year.
I think we need a new defenseman.
For instead of who?
I don't
know.
Who
you shipping out and who you want to bring in? Because you got guys like Noah Hannafin and Jacob Chychrun, but they're probably looking for major deals. And are you going to be able to offload Torrey Krug or Colton Parayko has played amazing this year? Or Volk? I mean, who you want to offload?
Krug.
You think you want to ship Torrey Krug?
He's got value right now too.
I don't know who we pick up, but I feel like just some sort of defensive change, just so Bennington's not standing on his head making 1,000 saves a night on countless breakaways. I mean, what was that stat you said the other day? That it was like the last couple of games that he was like 4-0 on one-on-ones.
Yeah, he won a large majority of his breakaway opportunities recently. Benner has been playing like his 2019 playoff self, and I would be a firm believer that if we were one of the better teams in hockey, I think Benner would be top 3 goalie in the league. But we lack in some places. But you kind of see guys stepping up. I don't know if offense is really the issue. You got Jake Neighbors absolutely lighting it up this year. I mean, you got to see if he can continue that streak. But I mean, obviously, you got Robert Thomas, you got Pavel Buchnevich. Holy shit, I can't speak.
What a name,
bro. You got Jordan Kyrou. I mean, you got guys that can put the puck in the net, plain and simple. I think you fixed, dude. Honestly, if I'm St. Louis, I'm buying. I'm seeing what's available. If I'm shipping a defenseman, I think I agree with you. I'm shipping Torrey Krug. But I don't know. I think that and obviously I am a bit biased, but dude, I don't know. I think we could be a good sleeper team come playoff time. We have the experience. We have the veterans. I mean, we still got Shen. Obviously took over the captain this year. I mean, we got Torrey Krug. We met him in the finals a couple years ago. We got the experience. I'm just interested to say the least.
See, I think that this guy. I think with what I would do is I would kind of stand pat. I wouldn't sell because I mean, obviously, you've seen they can play against. Usually, they can play against really good teams, and they play bad against really bad teams.
Right.
But I'd almost stand pat. I would almost do what they did last year without, how after they traded away O'Reilly and Achari and Tarasenko and Mikkola, where they brought in reclamation projects like bringing back a Sammy Blais, bringing in Kapanen, bringing in Vrana. Obviously, Vrana didn't work out too well after last year. He's killing it down in Springfield.
Dude, I thought Vrana would have panned out very well here, but
Kapanen hasn't been terrible. He's had his downs more than his ups, but again, reclamation project, no harm, no foul if you trade him away. But I could see something like that where you trade away like a Kapanen and get back some reclamation project winger. Just trade one for one kind of thing. Get rid of a Vrana, go get a pick, flip that pick, go get somebody. I don't think you'll be able to trade Vrana, but you could try. I mean, trading away a Sammy Blais maybe. Like, what has he really been doing for you? He's
taking a lot of penalties.
Usually a healthy scratch. He's usually a healthy scratch. He takes a lot of penalties. You kind of see him floating in and out a lot. I almost say stand pat. I have a feeling that if the Blues keep sliding down the way that they're going, that Doug is probably going to pull the plug and just say, you know what, let's ship out a Scandella, let's ship out a Kapanen, a Blais, a Sundqvist. Let's ship them all those 1-year deals, ship them out. Maybe a Perunovic gets put up on the block and say, hey, who wants them?
I mean, yeah, to say that we have talent in the pipeline is a bit of an understatement. I mean, we have some absolute names. I mean, Dvorsky has put up something stupid like, oh, I got to pull this up. Let me see. Let me put some
30 goals.
Yeah, let me put some respect on his name right now. He's been absolutely tearing it up.
Jimmy Snuggerud.
Yeah, I mean, his last 10 games, 6 goals, 4 assists, 10 points.
Whew.
Let's see, total. And yeah, you said you got Snuggerud, who Perunovic, obviously he's kind of been up and down, but also a big fan of Perunovic, but I'm interested to hear your opinion. Does Drew Bannister stay? I mean, we saw the success after we fired Yo in 2019, and then Craig Berube was an interim and then took over full time. Are you seeing the same thing happen to Drew Bannister?
I could see him staying for a year, at least a year, and see how he does.
Now, what's the minimal that you want to see out of him, though? If you want him to be there for a year and or long term, I mean, what are you looking at in the office of like, this guy could be our guy, but like this?
I think if he took this team to the playoffs and we actually, we don't have to win first round, but we made it competitive, I could see it sticking around. If we just start sucking and start losing the next, 15 games, I think he's out the door. But
yeah,
I think that they'll keep him around. I think that he's kind of going to be the guy through the retool. I think they're going to kind of, he was the AHL coach, so he kind of knows these young guys like the Zach Deans, the Zachary Boldukes. He kind of knows those kind of guys. So, keep them up, keep them with you, get those guys up. Then you get a Snuggerud and a Dalibor Dvorsky. He knows how to deal with the young players. So you kind of keep him through the retool. If he loses, he could lose half the games. I don't care. But whenever you're ready to start competing again, that's when you probably pull the plug and go get somebody that will win you games. Get Bruce Cassidy kind of guy, like what Vegas has, or, all those names that are just synonymous with, winning. You get one of those guys.
To circle back to my point, Dvorsky currently has 38 games played. He has 31 goals, 28 assists for 59 points. So absolutely been lighting it up in the OHL. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Snuggerud, I'm pulling up his stats right now. I had it loaded up and then I closed it by accident. Snuggerud in 32 games at Minnesota has 19 goals, 12 assists, 31 points. And then in the USA under 20 for the World Juniors. He was 5 goals, 3 assists, 8 points in 6 games.
Yeah. So those are some stars that we got in the pipeline. I'm excited to see the future. Going into a bit of, I know we talked about retooling other teams. There are some big names out there in the free agency list. Like I said, we got Noah Hannafin, Chychrun. I mean, even Colton Parayko reportedly linked talks. I mean, there are a lot of big names here. Obviously, Tarasenko. I mean, we saw David Perron recently. I mean, is there any team that you think right now is going after some of those big names, locking somebody down for maybe it's just a year, maybe it's 8? What? I mean, I want to hear some opinions.
I definitely see. I don't know where he'll go, but I can definitely see Vladimir Tarasenko getting traded. I mean, he just got a new agent again. It's just like I think it's something like it's his like 3rd agent in like a year and a half. It's like his 4th agent in 3 years, something like that. Like he's just firing agents because like he had an agent in St. Louis. He requested the trade. They didn't do it. He fired his agent, got a new one. Then he kept the trade request. Then he got traded. When he got to New York, he fired that agent, hired a new one. Then when he was in the off season, I think he wasn't getting any deals, so he fired that agent, brought in a new one. And then I think he just fired his agent, brought in a new one. So he's just been rolling through agents. So I think he gets a trade somewhere. I could see maybe a Dallas goes after him. Maybe
that might be a good fit for him.
Maybe like a Colorado, maybe
a Florida.
That'd be a good one. Maybe LA. They try to solidify their push. You know, they've been struggling a little bit. Maybe they try to get some more scoring.
Yeah, I mean, I just taking on, you know, I don't know much about the NHL, but I know a little bit about the NFL. I mean, I think you'll see teams doing, I think, a little bit more what is really prominent in the NFL is taking those, you know, older guys or those guys with some experience and grabbing them for a year to see if they can do some runs in the playoffs. You know, you have that experience as a veteran. You know, you have guys who can provide that leadership in the locker room, and I think a lot of that will, you know, go into those teams that are kind of there, you know, are definitely in the playoffs, but don't have that extra guy or that extra leadership or that extra talent to take them to the next level to win that cup. And I think you'll see a lot of teams doing that, you know, proceeded on into this next month of the trade deadline. So
speaking of the NFL, there are also some very large names circling free agency in the NFL. Obviously, you saw, what is it? It's Chris Jones, a 3-time Super Bowl champ now, isn't he?
Yep. Chris Jones,
Kirk Cousins,
Mike Evans, Kirk Cousins, Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, the Jaguars guy.
Allen. Oh.
Yep. Yeah, just had to
Chase
clarify.
Young,
Josh Allen,
not the
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of big names.
Baker is one.
Yeah.
And I'm curious. We'll you know, start with the Cardinals fan, and then we'll work our way around. You guys, no offense, you've been at the bottom of the bottom for the last several years.
Hey. We had 1 year where we were really good and we got piss slammed by the Rams, but
I'll start with this. We'll stay away from the coaching right now. We'll start with the guy who touches the ball the most, Kyler Murray. Do you stay with him or do you go? You got a lot of good quarterbacks coming up. Arizona Cardinals has a decent draft pick. You got a lot of good quarterbacks in this draft. I'm not saying they're going to get a Caleb Williams, but, you know, they could trade up to get a Jalen Daniels or, you know, Drake May. He'll probably go second, but, you know, you could trade up for him. Do you keep him? Do you leave him?
Listen, before you say something, Jaron, I saw somebody say this a couple days ago. Who do you see in the draft the next year? I mean, this is like generational talent quarterbacks coming up in this draft, or projected talents.
For sure.
Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jade Daniels. Who do you see in the draft next year where if you skip on a quarterback this year, you're kind of locked? I don't want to say that, you know, you can't find a quarterback. Obviously, you see people like Tom Brady go late in the draft round and turn out to be amazing, but Back to what Connor's saying. Do you is Kyler Murray the one? No pun intended.
Yes, you kind of have to keep him only because of how big that contract is. You can't buy it out; it's fully guaranteed. Not fully guaranteed, but it's damn near. Um, you kind of have to keep him around. I think what we end up doing with our 4th overall pick is we probably end up taking Marvin Harrison Jr. I think the top 4 in the draft is going to end up going Williams, May, Daniels, Marvin Harrison.
Wow.
I think we end up taking Marvin Harrison Jr. Get Kyler a weapon, because I mean we saw what Kyler did with D Hop 2 years ago. He was elite, and then last year he comes back from his ACL tear. He wasn't terrible. He was serviceable. Is he worth the $250 million we gave him? No, but you gotta you made the bed, now you gotta lay on it. You can't get rid of that contract. I think you have to keep him. I think mainly what you have to work on is with the first pick that we have, because we have 2 draft picks in the first round. I think we have I think it's 4th, and then we have 20th.
Yeah,
I would say that you probably with the first pick have to take Marvin Harrison Jr. And then with our 20th pick, we need DBs. I would almost say maybe take like
there are some big
corner. Dennis
There are some
Rakestraw.
big DBs in the in free agency. Chidobe Awuzie, Sean Murphy and Bunting. Trying to scroll through here. Kendall Fuller. Yeah, L'Jarius Sneed.
He's trying to get
Jalen
back,
Johnson.
See,
I mean, there's some big names.
See, okay, if we're going down this route, I would say that if I was the GM of the Arizona Cardinals, I would take Marvin Harrison 4th overall. With the 20th overall pick, I'd probably see what offensive linemen's out there, try to get Kyler some protection. I mean, we already got Paris Johnson as a tackle. I think shoring up that offensive line. I mean, you have James Conner, who's a great running back. I wouldn't call him elite.
Dude,
he's a great running back.
I don't mean to interrupt here. There are some huge names. Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley. I mean, there are some huge names in terms of running backs too.
I'm willing to pay a bag for a corner like L'Jarius Sneed, like Awuzie, one of those guys. I'm not paying a bag for a running back when I have James Conner. I'm good with James Conner. If I have Marvin Harrison Jr. and I have weapons, I don't really need that just lights out running back. Not saying that James Conner's not. He's a great running back.
James Conner did end with 208 attempts for 1,040 yards and 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, he carried us throughout that, and we were bad, so he had to kind of carry us. But I mean, I that's what I think. I think we maybe get a corner in free agency, get an offensive lineman in the later first, and then get Marvin Harrison Jr., the 4th overall pick.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think, like, Evan was stating, you got Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, Shador Sanders, DJ Uiagalelei, like a lot of guys next year. I think you're right. That guaranteed money, you can't go away from it. But I think Kyler Murray is not that guy. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. I think he's, he can get the job done to get you to around 500. And obviously, injuries, whatever, that obviously an ACL injury, you can't walk past that. But at the end of the day, you want a quarterback that'll go and win you a ring. And I don't think Kyler Murray is that. So shifting over to the Texans, though.
No. We're going to the 2 Eagles fans on the call.
Yeah.
What is the problem in Philadelphia, and how do you fix it?
What isn't the problem?
I mean, you have the Avengers over there, and you all
we
lost.
Just fell apart.
Yeah, an absolute breakdown. What's going on there?
I'll let the Chris go ahead first.
I feel like there's just something missing in the locker room. I feel like they just lost. I don't know what is exactly they lost. I just felt like they just lost like the drive. They're 10 wins, good enough.
Is Jalen Hurts really a tush push merchant?
No, I think Chris is right. I think that there was something in the locker room happening behind the scenes that we weren't seeing, and I think a lot of it was, either a game plan action that wasn't getting certain players involved. I'm not going to go and name names, but this is just what I think from a fan's perspective, that there was a lack of leadership either from the coaching staff or from the players, and one bad or one rotten apple, how's that phrase go? One rotten apple can ruin the whole bunch. I think that's exactly what happened. And after around 9-10 wins, and especially after that bye week, we could kind of see a little bit of like dismantling just in the playing, first, second, third, fourth quarters. And it really got prevalent towards the end of the season of like that there is something missing. Like you said, they are the Avengers. They got the guys. I just think that there was something mentally going on off the field that was hindering their performance on the field. But I mean, other than that, I don't know that you can ask for anybody else. I think, you can maybe go for a different linebacker. But other than that, DeAndre Swift, he's a serviceable back. We can see him. He knows how to run. He knows how to touch. Boston Scott doing his thing too as a very good backup. Jalen Hurts, we've seen him sling the ball. And then obviously you got the wide receivers that we got with a great offensive line. Obviously, Jason Kelsey.
I don't know. The last 4 or 5 weeks, it just didn't seem like Jalen Hurts was playing as himself though either.
Definitely.
It definitely didn't seem like he wanted to make any risk, any deep actual deep shots, or I don't know, he just didn't seem it seemed like he was more trying to preserve himself, and then that just carried into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And
well, I think a part of that issue is though too is as a coaching staff, you have to see that. I always get trust in my guys without a doubt. I'll give you trust first, and then you're the one that takes it away or builds it back up. But as a coaching staff, I feel like you got to see that and give the ball to a good running back, a great running. I mean, allow Jalen Hurts to build back up his confidence and that swagger that we know that he has. And then you got, the Eagles team that went 10-1. You don't have the Eagles team that went, 1-7.
yeah.
It's like it just is what it is. So
it's very possible that he could have been playing through a
injuries,
undisclosed injury. I mean, we see that a lot. The throwback to hockey, dude. There post 2019, it came out bruised ribs, bruised sternums. I mean, guys are just
Burrow.
I mean, guys are just playing through injury.
The Bengals had that issue with Joe Burrow wanting to play, and his training staff was like, yeah, you can do it, and then all of a sudden the NFL is looking into why Joe Burrow is playing when he gets off the bus with a cast on his wrist.
Yeah.
So other than that, we're going to switch over to the Texans. It's got to be done. 2 great rookies they picked up. I mean, clearly they are doing things right. Tank Dell, CJ Stroud, and even, the GOAT defensive rookie of the year. Where do you go from here? Who do you get? Who do you pick up?
You ship out CJ Stroud. You pick up Caleb Williams. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. No, dude. I actually, I am very excited to see the Texans play next year. I think losing Tank Dell hurt a lot. Obviously, we saw their success, their short-term success in the playoffs. Dude, I'm excited to watch the Texans. I think that these rookies are only going to get better. Obviously, CJ Stroud has been elite, arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and this is his first year in the league. I think Nico Collins stepped up. Tank Dell, obviously, elite. I'm excited to see both offense and defense. I think the way that why am I blanking on the coach's name? The guy you said,
D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah.
Couldn't think of his name. I think the way he's turned in that offense has been amazing, and I think that's great for the entire Texans organization. Obviously, they had some ups, but a lot of downs recently. But I'm excited to watch them. I really am.
Yeah,
Now,
I mean, between Christian Harris, Blake Cashman, I gotta imagine that they're probably going to push a lot of emphasis on their defense this year. But you said a lot of big names at running back. I'm not saying that Devin Singletary is not him, but we know he's getting a little bit on the older side. I'd not be surprised if they kept it interested in running backs coming up, not only in the
Hey.
draft but even in the free agency.
Derrick Henry would be a great fit for the Texans.
Wouldn't he?
I mean,
Ooh.
they've seen him twice a year for the past how many years? They
Yes.
know him.
9, 10,
mean,
11 years.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
now I want to bring this up because I'm on a website here that they're talking about like the biggest needs with the Texans, as you brought up them wanting to focus probably on defense. They say the biggest needs a pass rusher to fit with Will Anderson Jr.
That would
Now-
be scary.
Who do you think they go and pick up? That's an edge rusher.
Chris Jones. No. I think Chris
Yeah,
Jones is
get
tied
that guy
down to
right off
the
front.
I think he's tied down to what's it called? Kansas City.
KC.
I
Yeah.
mean, dude, like we mentioned earlier, Josh Allen, Brian Burns. I mean, those are some elite Danielle Hunter, some elite edge rushers. in
I
free
really
agency.
want Arizona to take Josh Allen, please.
I mean,
Mhm.
even Chase Young. I mean, those are some elite edge rushers that you. If I'm the GM, I'm making phone calls because I think that you have a great baseline, and if this team is only going to get better, it's just I think the sky's the limit for this Houston Texans team.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they definitely, after the year that they had, I would not be surprised if we see nothing up. But I mean, I'm pretty sure they have a decent late pick in this year draft. I'm not quite sure.
I think it's
but
23rd.
I mean, you got Dallas Turner, you got Byron Murphy the second. I mean, Jared Verse. You got a lot of good guys, coming into the NFL who, I mean, you clearly saw what Will Anderson did in his rookie season. You got to show him respect in the second year. If you get a, well-rounded, close to fully developed guy on the other side, sky's the limit. I mean, like I said, you got to show Will Anderson having defensive rookie of the year. You know this guy's going to come out hungry next year, especially where the team is at and where the team's pushing. You get a good guy on the other side, I wouldn't want to drop back. I'm just going to hand the ball off. I'm just going to let the running back do what you want to do because I'm not getting tackled by either. So just my 2 cents. But long-term deals, let's talk about it. You said you already mentioned L'Jarius Sneed, Chris Jones, Mike Evans. I saw some today, Justin Jefferson. I saw the Vikings were not interested in giving a fully guaranteed contract. And I know a lot of guys and a lot of teams, that's what they're pushing forward. But the Vikings, they say they only want to give that money to a quarterback.
I
What's your
heard that
thoughts? Do you
he
think he deserves
wanted.
it?
I heard that Justin Jefferson wanted to see what Michigan's play was, and if they were going to keep Kirk Cousins, that he would be willing to come back. I don't know
Okay.
if that was confirmed, but that is what I saw. I don't know how you don't guarantee money to players like Justin Jefferson. I mean, the guy.
I mean, injuries kind of hurt him this year. No
Yeah.
doubt.
Maybe
But
the
I
best
think
receiver in the league.
but I mean,
yeah.
I think with your starting quarterback out, you kind of took the punches and rolled with it. But yeah, I mean, if they don't take back Kirk Cousins, I gotta imagine they're gonna go for a quarterback in the draft. I mean, who'd they have after Kirk Cousins that was serviceable enough for them to make some sort of a run?
I mean,
the
dude,
Astronaut.
Yeah,
Dude,
dude,
listen,
he had a
listen.
great first game. Don't get me wrong.
I could
but
seriously see the Bears trading the first overall pick, and then you're talking. I
trading
mean,
back.
yeah, do the Vikings? I mean, the Vikings have 11th. Obviously, like Caleb Williams is probably not going to fall to 11th. Do you see them make a move if they're not keeping Kirk Cousins?
Definitely. I mean, I think you'll see him trade up to maybe close to top 5. I gotta imagine that they might be trying to go for. I mean, you see the quarterbacks nowadays. You want versatility, and no offense, Kirk Cousins, he can do it in the air. The 36-year-old guy's not really doing it on the feet, on the ground. So I
Slow
gotta
them
imagine they might be
molasses.
looking at Jalen Dane. I mean, a guy, we can see him throw. We saw him throw in such a fast-paced offense at LSU. But the buddy can run. I mean, we saw him break 60, 70, 80-yard runs, read options. All of that is going to come into play. And I would not be surprised if they go for Jalen Daniels. And then you see somewhat of a styled offense, kind of like the Eagles, where you have those triple options or the Patrick Mahomes, like guys that are very versatile in you can go any sort of direction, and I think it'll just add another advantage to their offense. I mean, they have a great offensive line. Madison, he's been a decent running back. You might be able to see what it's like picking up a new running back with a lot of big names in free agency. But you definitely need to keep Justin, without a doubt.
Now, I don't think this is going to happen, but what do you think about, instead of Minnesota calling Chicago for the number 1 overall pick, what if they called him for Justin Fields? Now, I don't think that they would
Yeah, I don't
trade
think that's
Justin
gonna happen.
Fields to the Vikings.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. There's no way they want to see Fields twice a year.
No, I think their
But-
front office wants Justin to stay. I mean, speculation has been happening ever since the season ended, and I think unless we're hearing something wrong, I think they're there to stay, and they want to try and build assets around. I mean, you got DJ Moore. He played really well this year, but who else major do they have to allow Justin Fields to shine?
I think you gotta get Fields somebody on his roster
help,
before
for
you
sure.
decide that the Fields project is over.
For sure.
I can agree with that.
I don't know, because I mean, passing up on somebody like Caleb Williams or Drake May or Daniels. I mean, those are some big names coming out of college football. Where if, like I said earlier, if you decide to pass up on this, you're kind of stuck for another year. But it's like, do they really use the first overall pick for Marvin Harrison?
Do they? But here's the thing: do they pass up again? That they got it right the first time by trading away the first overall pick and giving Carolina the chance to take Bryce Young. Do they pass that up again?
Yeah,
trading away the first overall pick again to pass up on a top quarterback. And don't get me wrong. Here's my thought process is, if they are not taking a quarterback with the first overall pick, they are trading it back.
Yeah,
they're going to recoup assets,
Yep.
and they're going to go get it, even if it's like, hey, we're going to trade to get the 5th overall pick, and then maybe they swap with Arizona and they go and get Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
Yeah, they won't drop back too much. I mean, I gotta imagine they might even drop to 3rd to allow New England to do what they need to get a quarterback.
That's a team that needs a lot.
Yeah,
without a doubt. But I don't think they drop farther than Arizona, because they want that receiver. They want a Marvin Harrison type guy. They need him on his offense. They don't really need the quarterback position. But I don't think Arizona's. It would just be dumb of them to drop it back, because, like you said, Kyler Murray, they're probably not going to go away from him. Hopefully he has a great year, remains injury-free this year, but they want Marvin Harrison too, and that's a bad business move. So, speaking of bad business moves, though, EA waited 10 long years to not remake the NCAA game. We finally got it coming out this year, and I want to state, I told to Evan about this the other day. I saw somewhere in their trailer 1 that it was set to release 6/7/24. I don't know if anybody else saw it. It was kind of on that action clipboard. They had a date on there. 6/7/24 is not the date the trailer released. So early summer.
I think that EA is just playing a big game and they're not releasing shit, and they're just going to ask for more money because that's who they are. No.
Yeah.
I would
They're trying to get away from men, right?
that would blow.
But I mean, are we excited? I know Chris, Jaron, Evan, myself, we have all played it. What do you guys expect for this game? How do you guys expect this game to go on release day? What's your hopes, that it turns out to be a phenomenal game and it's not just a college version of Madden?
I think that the only thing that I know, I'll make this short and sweet, is that I'm taking the fucking Toledo Rockets to the chip in the first 3 years taking over. All right. No, I'm excited, dude. NCAA, those games were some of the best games of all time.
Sure.
Obviously, it's been 10 years since we've seen one. I mean, just the everything you could do in that game, from the dynasties to the what do
Ultimate
they call it?
teams.
Be a pro or whatever it was
Yeah.
called back then.
Road to Glory.
Road to
Road
Glory.
to
That's what it
Glory
was.
back then.
I
Yeah,
mean,
mascots.
dude, the
mascot mode was sick.
customization and the just it was so much fun. And I think the EA has a gem as long as they don't make it a cash grab. I mean, that's obviously
Yeah.
what Madden has turned into. That's what even 2K has turned into. Obviously, EA doesn't do 2K, but I mean, if they don't money grab this and they do it for the greatness
For the
of the
fans,
game,
community.
I mean, I honestly don't see them this game flopping. I mean,
Yeah.
if you take exactly what that game was and just make it this gen, I think people are gonna play that until the sun shuts down. I think I'm very
Sun
excited.
shuts down.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Now, from a Mizzou standpoint, Mizzou fan, Alabama fan, probably a bigger Alabama fan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to be excited for this game
Yeah.
coming out, right? I mean, 10 years ago, I mean, that was your, prime time. We was in high school,
Mhm.
that
Yeah,
was your
I was
dream to
playing
play
that.
college football. Like that. That's the
Mhm.
thing. I mean, what are you excited about most for this game to come out?
Put Saban on the cover. Put him
Wow,
on the
just
cover.
straight like that.
Straight
Put him
up.
on the cover. Sure, they can do players now because you can do their NILs and all that stuff. But I feel like if you ask anyone like who is arguably one of the best college football coaches, it's Saban. And the year that he retires is the year that NCAA comes back. I feel like it's only fitting to put him on.
Yeah, I had this conversation with Connor, and I saw some cool ideas online. You could do like every single version of like the Heisman. Like you put every Heisman winner the last 10 years on a cover. That might get kind of extreme.
Dang,
I'm
that's a lot
with
of
Chris,
benefit
bro.
Players.
Dude, I'm with Chris. I don't understand how you don't put Saban on the cover. I mean, what he has done for the game of football, like I don't think there's any better option. Obviously you could go Caleb Williams. I've seen Shooter Sanders get mentioned because he has big marketability.
Yeah, Deion
Sanders. Dude, I don't see how you don't put Saban on this. I mean, it's the one opportunity to show your appreciation for what Saban has done for the game of football. And
For sure.
I mean, I'm with Chris. I think it's got to be Saban. It has to be.
I agree 110%. They're knowing EA, they're gonna do like what they do with Madden, where they have the standard edition and then the legend
which is
edition.
fine.
He has to be a part
Has
of
to
the
be.
legend
Yeah.
edition.
For sure.
I will spend $400 on
that.
that.
They got
EA
your money,
is-
buddy.
yeah,
You're
I'll spend
so
top
lock and
dollar.
sinker.
Yeah. EA's
but-
marketing team is looking at this and go, yeah, we're charging this scum $400 for this game.
Yeah. Hey, we got him, boys.
For everybody else, Legend Edition's $200. For this man, $600.
600. Take
Son
it
of
or
a bitch,
leave
I'm
it.
in.
You're gonna play a game mode where every position is Nick Saban.
Yeah. No, see,
Instead of mascots, it's Saban.
it's Saban. No, but I really do think that at least that version, like there's no way
has
around
to
it.
be.
They are going to
Yeah.
have a legend version,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
going to have Nick Saban on it. The athlete, though, that's where it's like very up for discussion. Do you use an athlete like a Caleb Williams, a Drake May, where they're going to the draft, or do you use a guy that's coming back to college football, where it's like, okay, he's on the cover of the college game, and I'm gonna get to watch him play
No.
at his college.
There's
Like,
only
what do you do
one
there?
other person that I'm putting on the cover. If you ain't giving
the
his
Pop
damn
Tart
trophy
man.
back, put Reggie Bush on the cover. Put him on the
Yeah.
cover.
God. Oh my gosh. I
Give
need
him his
that.
trophy
I
back
need
or
it.
put him on the cover.
That would be fun to see. But no, I mean, as I'll say my 2 cents and let it be. As a guy who played football growing up all his life, played in college, has played probably thousands of hours of Madden. I want this game to be good, just from a playing standpoint and experience standpoint. I want to see online dynasties. I want to see full dynasty customizations. You can make teams, make logos, make it personal, do what you want to do. I know that there were talks that the FCS teams were going to be in there. I'm kind of curious to see if you can do FCS championships, as well as also see if you can bring those teams into the FBS if they're playing really well. If they win a couple championships, bump them up, see what that's like.
Bring in the D2 schools.
Bring in the D2 schools. I think that would be super cool, being able to play with guys or friends that didn't get the chance to go D1 but has played. But I mean, there's been several guys that went into the league having played at D2, D3 schools that you could see those schools in there. I think everybody wants it. Mascot games. I want to be able to play as the Pop-Tart guy. I want to be able to play as the Florida Gator.
The
the
Pop-Tart
Ducks. I want to beat up on the. I didn't get my Ducks to win the Natty this year. I want to beat up on the Wolverines. That's just me. That's coming from an Oregon fan. It is what it is. But last thing.
Before we get to this last point, I got to hear everybody. Who is your team that you're taking over day one online dynasty? Who are we riding with?
I'm personally, I'll say it first. I'll go first. Personally, if they can make FCS teams go to FBS after a couple years, I'm playing as an FCS team. I like to start as the bottom guy, the total underdog. I want to start from the bottom and make my way to the top, because I know if there's online dynasties, I'm going to play with the 4 of y'all. It might be 2, 3, 4 years, but I am making sure you all know the FCS name when I come back up.
I think we all know who Chris is going with. Got to suck off Bama some more.
I love Bama. He's going to be as Nick Saban.
He's going to rename Keelan to Nick Saban.
Give me Coastal Carolina.
Wow.
I like the field. I appreciate that.
Jaron, who we going with?
I love the color.
I got to go with Quincy University, right? I got to put myself in the game since I missed out on it.
Go Hawks.
Yeah, go Hawks, baby. No, all seriousness, I'm with Connor. I want to do an FCS team.
Yeah.
And why not Lindenwood?
Okay.
Lindenwood Lions.
Yeah,
they were not very good this year. But under the coaching tutelage of the one and only Jaron, I think I can put him. I think I can bring him to the Natty.
Yep. Now
I think I just want to come in and take over a franchise and really show, how dominant my franchise can be. I think I'm going to take over the Michigan Wolverines. I mean, obviously we've seen they struggled the last couple years.
I was ready for him to say FIU.
Great ass team.
This guy's like, Harbaugh's gone.
It's my time.
No, honestly, there
again.
There are some big teams. I love Tulane. I think their jersey combinations would be really cool.
Definitely.
Appalachian State, I played with them in the past. I think they would be cool to take over. There's a lot. I'm excited.
Jerseys, Ducks.
Yeah,
James Madison.
I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited.
Yeah. But that brings me again to my last point. Aside from customization, and aside from all of that, there's been talks that, all of that is going to be in there. I think we're excited for just kind of the immersion of, hearing that college crowd again, hearing different announcers,
Give me Gus Johnson, please.
Looking at the fine detail that, is so different at every school with different chants, different mascots, FSU's, famous javelin throw. That's what we want to see. But I think what the most we want to see is we want to see a different game than Madden. And I understand that they're probably going to use the same engine, but I want it to feel completely different. I get that is the new engine. That is a lot of, what different developers are using with their game, because it is the closest thing that you can get from real. But I do not want it to play like Madden. The reason we're all getting away from it is because we have had the same Madden game for years now. And I know that is a different thing that, EA is not fully in control of that. But we want this game to be like the old college days. I mean, I think every game we've seen recently, whether it's sports, action, single player, open world, whatever it is, we have all said time and time again that it seems like we have not had that same kid experience playing those new games for the first time. And like you said, EA's got a gym under their toes right now, and they could be mining this gym for years.
Yeah.
If they do it right, listen to the community, just make the game fun.
I mean,
bring that college experience to allow fans to play their favorite players and make it like they're there.
I better be here in Dixieland Delight and Bryant Denny and Mr. Brightside at Faroe Field I want it to feel like I'm actually there.
Yeah, I think as long as it doesn't turn into a money grab, and as long as they really care about the growth of the game, I think this is maybe one of the best opportunities a company has had to make a
Any game
I
for
mean
years. Yeah.
Make
the
football great again.
NCAA the entire football video game it's some of the most sought after, highly respected games of all
sure.
time, and yeah,
For
I
sure.
think they have a possibility, but EA's track record isn't great. I mean,
Not for the last couple
No.
years.
I mean,
No.
So
kind of off topic, but you throw it at Activision too. I mean, I remember dumping tens of thousands of hours. It felt like in Call of Duty, and now
Modern
it's just a money
Warfare.
grab. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
it is what it is. But I really hope EA comes through because I mean they have an opportunity that is second to none.
I think
Definitely.
we're all in agreement that gameplay that has to be their number one priority. It has to be better than Madden. They
Don't
have
let me
to
get
know
stuck.
they have to know that the community
Run
is
it-
sick and tired of
running through the O line and getting stuck.
yeah, bro. Like, I but also a part of that is that I also want, like, I know we brought up the customization. I really want to see a huge emphasis on that too, because like,
Yeah.
a lot of people, there's some times where like if you're just a dynasty guy, you don't want to like make the
Yeah,
road to glory guy. What if like, you kind of get sick and tired of being like the Alabama and that, and then you bring in the FCS schools so you can be the FCS schools like a Lindenwood or, wherever. But, being able to like create your own team and being able to put them into FCS, like let's say you want to be the SLU Billikens. They got a football team now. We're putting them in FCS. Like that would be cool to just be able to do that kind of stuff. So I really hope that they do that. And I also, like we all said, I hope it's not a money grab where they're just kind of, dangling that in front of you and then, oh, well, we couldn't do it in time. Like I really hope it's not like, the other EA games where they steer out the same
And then you're gonna
crap
buy a
over and
battle
over and over again.
pass and
Yeah, and then
I mean,
Give me Ska.
NHL has been the same exact
Yeah.
game for the past 6
Right.
years.
Yep.
So
and we still degenerately buy it because we are a bunch of
yep.
losers.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you bring up a good point. Is like, for me, like playing online Ultimate Team against other people, that's never been the thing for me. I want to play with my friends and I want to have fun. And when it comes to customization, I think I would love to see it, even the finite details of like shoelaces, bro. Like having your shoelaces match your jersey, your different accessories. Like I want that small customization in. That doesn't matter for a lot
Shoelaces
of
in
people.
October.
But yeah, I mean, I want that fine detail and like the pride of like take pride in your game. Like you
Yeah.
allow players to change just about everything to their character, and I think that'd be super fun. But my last point, NCAA. Now I forgot my point, but I think we're all excited for the game regardless. So
Yeah, I'm excited. Obviously, I think there's going to be some more gameplay trailers. I actually saw it was, maybe a conspiracy theory if that's what you want to call it, but I saw somebody say that panoramic view of the Rose Bowl stadium. What's the actual name of the stadium? I can't remember. Is that the actual? That's not
It
the
is
actual.
the Rose Bowl.
Oh, that's okay. He said that was not a real life version of that stadium. That was a in-game
Wow.
what's the word I'm looking for? Not
like
iteration.
or design.
Yeah.
Now that was like in-game footage of the stadium. And if that is true, I mean that game you couldn't make it. You couldn't tell the difference between a real game and a real life and the video game. But yeah, I mean, not to spiel on too long. I think everybody's excited.
6/7/24. Here it comes.
7/24. Let's see what happens. But well, good luck to EA. Obviously, hopefully they do pretty well.
Don't fuck this up.
Yeah, don't mess it up. We will cover it as it comes out. We appreciate everybody listening. Whether you're listening on your way, watching the YouTube, listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We hope you have a good week. We will cover more NCAA. I guarantee it. Probably some more NHL. Anything about sports. We love to see it. We love to watch it, just as everybody else does. So we hope you enjoy your week. We'll see you next Monday. Great googly moogly.
Great googly
Right,
moogly.
googly moogly.